Have you ever thought of someone you loved, and moments later, seen something so specific, so personal, that it stopped you in your tracks? A name, a number, an animal, a song, and for just a second, the world felt thinner, like something unseen had reached through and whispered, "I'm still here." This book is about those moments. In Signs, the secret language of the universe, Lynne Jackson explores a powerful idea that the universe is constantly communicating with us, using a quiet but deeply personal language made of symbols, coincidences, and signs. These signs are not random. They are messages of love, guidance, and reassurance, sent by what she calls our team of light. The book opens with the story of a woman named Marie, sitting in a hospital waiting room while her husband undergoes emergency heart surgery. Terrified and alone, she silently asks for a sign, from God, from the universe, from her son who passed away decades earlier. When a nurse later hands her change for a coffee, Marie notices a dollar bill marked with her son's name, Carrie, written clearly in bold letters. For Marie, this is not coincidence. It is confirmation, a message of reassurance. And when the doctors later announce that her husband's surgery was successful, Marie already knows. She has already received the answer. Lynne Jackson introduces herself as a psychic medium, but she is quick to say something important. You do not need to be a psychic to receive signs. The ability to recognize them belongs to everyone. According to Jackson, the universe, made up of God energy, spirit guides, angels, and loved ones who have passed, is always guiding us toward our highest path. The only requirement is openness. She explains that signs are the universe's way of helping us see meaning where we once saw randomness, light where we once saw darkness. Learning to recognize them creates what she calls a great shift, a transformation in how we experience life, purpose, and connection. Part 1. Always with Us. Chapter 1. Oranges. Lynne Jackson begins this chapter by placing us directly inside a moment of vulnerability and trust. Shortly after publishing her first book, she is invited to speak at a major corporate event in California, an environment far removed from intimate readings or spiritual conversations. The stakes feel high. She is about to stand on stage before hundreds of powerful, influential people alongside experienced public speakers. Although she feels honored, she also feels the weight of responsibility. She believes the universe has guided her to this moment, and she wants reassurance that she has fulfilled her role faithfully. Rather than asking for applause or praise, Laura asks for something quiet and specific. She turns inward and requests a single sign from the universe. One orange. To her, this orange will be confirmation that she delivered the message she was meant to deliver. After her speech, she walks toward the lunch area, and what she encounters stops her cold. The entire space is filled with oranges. Not one, not a handful, but thousands. They cover tables, entrances, and displays, transforming the ordinary setting into something unmistakable. Laura reflects on the moment not as coincidence, but as conversation. She asked. The universe responded generously, unmistakably. The experience reinforces several truths that echo throughout the book. That we are watched over, that we are supported, that connection exists even when unseen, and that when we ask for signs sincerely, the universe answers in its own language. Chapter 2. Cereal in the Car. In this chapter, Laura recounts a seemingly ordinary car ride that turns into a powerful demonstration of how signs work. On her way to a publishing event in Manhattan, she rides with a driver named Maximo. At the time, Laura is deliberately closed off from the other side, conserving her energy and respecting personal boundaries. Yet despite her intention to remain disconnected, a presence pushes through. The conversation begins casually, but quickly deepens. Laura senses that Maximo has a son on the other side. As she shares what she perceives, Maximo confirms details: his stepson Virgil, his personality, his habits. One detail stands out: cereal. Virgil shows Laura an image of cereal, something Maximo immediately recognizes as deeply personal and accurate. As the exchange continues, Laura realizes something important. Everything Virgil communicates through her is something Maximo has already experienced on his own, through dreams, symbols, and his daughter's sudden obsession with Ninja Turtles, Virgil's favorite. Laura tells Maximo the truth. He does not need a medium. He is already receiving signs. This chapter reinforces the idea that signs are not rare or reserved for the spiritually gifted. They are happening constantly, often dismissed because we doubt ourselves. Chapter 3. Teams of Light. Here, Laura lays the foundation for how signs are sent and by whom. She introduces the concept of the team of light, a collective of loving forces that guide each person throughout life. This team consists of God energy, spirit guides, or angels, and loved ones who have crossed over. Spirit guides, she explains, are beings who have never lived human lives alongside us. They are assigned before birth and commit fully to our growth and protection. Their guidance is subtle but persistent, nudging us toward experiences that help our souls evolve. Laura also emphasizes that this belief is not new. Across religions and cultures, humans have always believed in unseen guides. The terminology changes, but the essence remains the same. We are never navigating life alone. Through personal stories and shared experiences, Laura encourages readers to trust these unseen relationships, even when logic resists them. Chapter 4. I Carry Your Heart. This chapter tells the heartbreaking and transformative story of a young boy named Caleb. From an early age, Caleb speaks with unusual awareness, asking questions about life, death, and time. His parents notice his sensitivity, but never imagine how brief his time on Earth will be. After a tragic medical accident, Caleb passes away at just 6 years old. His parents are devastated, plunged into grief and uncertainty. Through Laura, Caleb communicates from the other side with extraordinary clarity and love. He describes death not as an ending, but as a transition into overwhelming peace, expansion, and joy. Caleb sends his parents a series of unmistakable signs, balloons, repeating numbers like 1111, drawings, poems, and symbols tied deeply to shared memories. Each sign arrives at moments of doubt, gently but firmly reassuring them that he is still present. The chapter emphasizes that love does not dissolve with death. Instead, it becomes unbounded, finding new ways to express itself. Chapter 5. Dragonflies and Deer. Laura introduces Carla, a mother grieving the sudden loss of her young son, Calder. In the weeks following his passing, Carla begins noticing dragonflies appearing repeatedly, in places and ways that feel impossible to ignore. At first, she dismisses the experiences, afraid that grief is distorting her perception. During a reading, Laura tells Carla that Calder will send her a deer as confirmation of his presence. Carla does not know what this means, but weeks later, during a quiet moment, she encounters a deer in an intimate, direct way. The animal approaches her calmly, locking eyes with her before moving on. The message Calder sends is simple but powerful. Stop questioning. Trust what you feel. Signs lose their power when filtered through fear and doubt. Chapter 6. Buddies on the Other Side. This chapter explores the idea that relationships continue beyond death, not only between the living and the departed, but also among those who have crossed. Laura shares stories of loved ones reuniting, supporting one another, and working together to send signs. These stories reinforce the idea that no one crosses alone. Bonds formed in life remain intact, strengthened rather than severed. Chapter 7. Hearts and Playing Cards. Laura focuses on intentional symbols, objects or images chosen consciously as signs. Hearts, playing cards, numbers, or words can become part of a shared language between worlds. The key, she explains, is specificity. The more personal and meaningful the symbol, the clearer the message. Signs are not meant to be vague. They are meant to resonate. Chapter 8. Hummingbirds and Light. Hummingbirds appear repeatedly in this chapter as messengers of joy and reassurance. Laura explains that animals often serve as signs because they interrupt our attention gently, without fear or resistance. Encounters with animals can feel fleeting, but their timing and emotional impact often reveal deeper meaning. Chapter 9: Giraffes, Eiffel Towers, and a Song About Cats. This chapter highlights the playful nature of the universe. Signs do not follow rigid rules. They adapt to personality, humor, and memory. Laura shares stories where signs arrive in absurdly specific or humorous ways, reminding readers that communication from the other side can be joyful, not solemn. Chapter 10: Default Signs, Dreams, and Intuition. Here, Laura explains default signs, common symbols like coins, feathers, numbers, and dreams that often appear before we consciously ask for communication. She emphasizes intuition as the key to recognizing these signs. Intuition is not imagination, but a form of perception that strengthens when. Part 2: Creating Your Own Language. Chapter 11: Bringing It Home. Laura begins shifting from stories to practice. She encourages readers to reflect on signs they may already be receiving and to create space in their lives for awareness. This chapter emphasizes mindfulness and gratitude as foundations for connection. Chapter 12: 1379. A mysterious numerical sequence becomes the focus of this chapter. Laura explains how numbers can carry deeply personal meaning and serve as precise messages. Repetition, timing, and emotional resonance determine whether a number is a sign or coincidence. Chapter 13: Ghost Calls. Laura explores modern signs, missed calls, blank voicemails, electrical disturbances. Rather than fear these experiences, she encourages curiosity and calm observation. Technology, she explains, is simply another medium through which energy can travel. Chapter 14: Birds of Feather. This chapter returns to animals as messengers. Birds, in particular, symbolize freedom, perspective, and continuity. Laura shares stories of birds appearing at pivotal emotional moments, offering reassurance and presence. Chapter 15: Street Signs. Street names, billboards, license plates, and written words can also serve as signs. Laura explains that language itself becomes symbolic when encountered at meaningful moments. The universe, she suggests, uses whatever catches our attention. Chapter 16: Dancing Candles. The final chapter in this section focuses on subtle, intimate signs, flickering candles, shifting light, gentle movements that feel responsive. Laura emphasizes that signs do not need to be dramatic to be meaningful. Often, the quietest signs are the most powerful because they require presence, trust, and stillness to be noticed. Chapter 17: Turtles and Mermaids. This chapter explores how deeply personal and even whimsical signs can be when they are chosen with intention. Laura explains that signs do not need to be serious or traditionally spiritual to be meaningful. In fact, the more unusual or specific a sign is, the harder it becomes to dismiss. She shares stories of people asking for unlikely symbols, turtles, mermaids, or other unexpected images, precisely because these symbols are rare in everyday life. When such signs appear, they carry a sense of unmistakable recognition. The universe, Laura suggests, enjoys creativity. It meets people where they are, speaking in symbols that feel familiar, playful, and emotionally resonant. The deeper message of the chapter is about trust. When a sign feels personal and emotionally charged, the task is not to analyze it endlessly, but to receive it. Chapter 18: The Connector. Here, Laura introduces the idea of a connector, someone who naturally bridges worlds, conversations, and energies. Some people, she explains, are especially sensitive conduits for signs, often without realizing it. These individuals tend to bring people together, share messages at just the right moment, or say things that unknowingly deliver comfort or guidance. Laura emphasizes that being a connector is not about having psychic abilities. It is about openness, empathy, and presence. The chapter encourages readers to notice whether they play this role in others' lives and to honor it as a quiet form of service. Chapter 19. All creatures great and small. This chapter expands the idea of animals as messengers. Laura recounts stories involving pets, wildlife, and even insects appearing at emotionally significant moments. Animals, she explains, operate outside the noise of human logic. They respond to energy rather than explanation, making them ideal carriers of signs. Whether it is a pet behaving unusually or an animal appearing at a moment of grief, these encounters often feel purposeful rather than random. Laura encourages readers to notice how animals make them feel in these moments. Emotion, not analysis, is the key indicator of meaning. Chapter 20. Groundhogs. At first glance, groundhogs seem like an odd focus for a spiritual chapter, but that is precisely the point. Laura uses this example to show how signs often appear in unexpected forms. She shares stories where groundhogs repeatedly appear as symbols of reassurance, persistence, or humor. The repetition of such an unlikely sign makes it difficult to ignore. This chapter reinforces a central theme. The universe does not limit itself to traditionally sacred symbols. Anything can become meaningful when intention and awareness align. Chapter 21. How to create your own language. This is one of the most practical chapters in the book. Laura explains how readers can actively co-create a personal language of signs with the universe. The process begins with choosing a specific symbol, something meaningful but uncommon. The next step is to ask sincerely, without desperation or expectation. Finally, the most important step is receptivity, staying open without trying to control the outcome. Laura stresses that signs are not tools for prediction or manipulation. They are gestures of connection and reassurance. Gratitude, she explains, strengthens the language. Part 3. Navigating the Dark. Chapter 22. Camouflage, a gun, and a new assignment. This chapter marks a tonal shift, moving into darker emotional territory. Laura shares a story involving trauma, danger, and fear, showing that signs also appear during life's most frightening moments. In situations of crisis, signs may arrive as instincts, sudden clarity, or narrowly avoided harm. Laura suggests that these moments often indicate a new assignment, a shift in purpose or direction prompted by survival. The chapter emphasizes that even fear-filled experiences can carry guidance, shaping who we are meant to become. Chapter 23. Babies and Bears. Laura explores signs connected to protection and innocence. Babies and bears appear as symbols of vulnerability paired with strength. Stories in this chapter show loved ones stepping in energetically to protect children or guide parents during moments of deep fear. Laura highlights how parental intuition often intensifies during these experiences, acting as a powerful channel for guidance. The message is clear. Protection is active, loving, and ever-present, even when unseen. Chapter 24. Flickering Lights and Sparks. This chapter focuses on electrical signs. Lights flickering, appliances behaving strangely, sudden sparks. While these experiences can feel unsettling, Laura reframes them as expressions of energy. She explains that strong emotion, love, grief, longing, can interact with the physical environment. Rather than reacting with fear, she encourages calm acknowledgement. The key, she says, is noticing when these events happen and what you were feeling or thinking at the time. Chapter 25. Bows and Clovers. Bows and clovers symbolize gentleness and encouragement. Laura shares stories of people encountering these images repeatedly during moments of self-doubt. Rather than dramatic interventions, these signs function like quiet nods from the universe, simple reminders that one is seen, supported, and moving in the right direction. This chapter highlights how subtle signs often arrive precisely when encouragement is needed most. Chapter 26. Rainbows. Rainbows, Laura explains, are universal symbols of hope, but when they appear at emotionally precise moments, they take on deeper meaning. She shares stories of rainbows appearing during grief, transition, or decision-making. Their fleeting nature mirrors the message itself. Pause, notice, trust. The chapter reinforces the idea that beauty itself can be a form of communication. Chapter 27, Tiny Whispers. This chapter is about the quietest signs of all: thoughts, feelings, sudden knowing. Laura calls these tiny whispers. They are easy to miss because they do not interrupt life dramatically. Instead, they appear as gentle nudges or intuitive thoughts. Laura encourages readers to slow down, create stillness, and respect these whispers. Over time, listening strengthens clarity. Chapter 28, A Gift of Love and Forgiveness. Laura addresses emotional healing, forgiveness, and release. Signs in this chapter often arrive to help people let go of anger, guilt, or regret. She explains that forgiveness is not about excusing harm, but about freeing energy. Signs may arrive as memories, dreams, or symbols that soften hardened emotions. The chapter emphasizes that healing is a collaborative process between the living and the unseen. Chapter 29, Surrender. Here, Laura discusses surrender, not as weakness, but as trust. Signs often become clearer when we stop forcing outcomes. This chapter encourages letting go of timelines and expectations, allowing guidance to unfold naturally. Surrender, Laura explains, creates space for alignment. Part 4, Staying in the Light. Chapter 30, How to Shine Brightly. As the book nears its conclusion, Laura shifts focus toward living openly and authentically. Recognizing signs is not the end goal. Living in alignment with them is. She encourages readers to express kindness, creativity, and courage, becoming sources of light themselves. The more openly one lives, the more fluid communication with the universe becomes. Chapter 31, Shine On. The final chapter reinforces a simple truth. Once you learn to see signs, you cannot unsee them. Laura reminds readers that life becomes richer when viewed through connection rather than isolation. The universe has always been communicating. The invitation is to keep listening, trusting, and shining forward. As this journey comes to a close, the message of signs becomes clear and quietly powerful. Life is not unfolding at random. Beneath everyday moments runs a current of guidance, love, and connection that is always present, even when unseen. Lynne Jackson reminds us that signs are not meant to replace living or decision-making. They are gentle reassurances, small confirmations that we are supported, remembered, and never alone. When we slow down, trust our intuition, and stay open, the universe responds in ways that feel deeply personal. The signs do not ask for blind belief. They ask for attention. And once we begin to notice them, life itself starts to feel more meaningful, more connected, and quietly miraculous.